Hello, my name is Daniel and I'm from Group B4. Or, um, I will explain about the passive, but I will introduce my group for you. First, um, Muhammad Syarif Hidayatullah with NIM 14. Next, my, Daniel Wijaya, for NIM 44. Next, Gede Krishna Surya Tajaya 74. Next, Daryl Patrick Matthew Kurnawan 89. And the last one is Revi Valen Sumendak with NIM 99. Okay, next about active and passive sentence. Active sentence is a sentence where the subject performs the action, and the passive sentence, a sentence in which the subject not perform the action of the verb. Example, active sentence, the mouse ate the cheese. We can change this active sentence to passive, and the passive is the cheese was eaten by the mouse. The active and the passive sentence have same meaning. That means if we change active or passive to active, active to passive, the meaning has not changed. Next, active sentence, Bob mailed the package, and the passive is the package was mailed by Bob. We can see there, object in active change to subject in passive sentence, and the subject in active sentence change to object in passive sentence. Form of the passive. The form of passive verb is be plus past participle, and be can be in any of its form. Am, is, are, was, were, has been, have been, will be. We can see there, simple present, farmers grow corn. The passive is corn is grown by farmer. And any else example in there. Transitive and intransitive verb. Transitive verb is a verb that is followed by an object. Only transitive verb can be used in the passive. Intransitive verb is a verb that is not followed by object. And intransitive verb can be used to the passive. Example, active Bob mailed the letter. The passive, the letter was mailed by Bob. We can change active to passive intransitive verb, but in intransitive verb, active and incident happened, we can change that to passive. And there is common intransitive verb. But to find out if a verb is transitive or intransitive, look in your dictionary. The usual abbreviation are P.T. D is transitive and P.I is intransitive. Meanwhile, some verbs have both transitive and intransitive use. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gede Krishna Surya Tajaya, number 074, and in this video, I'm going to continue explaining about the passive sentence. And the first thing I'm going to explain is using the by phrase. So usually there is no by phrase in a passive sentence. Why? Because the passive is used when it is not known or it is not important to know exactly who performs an action. For example, my sweater was made in Korea. The person or the people who made the sweater, it is unknown and it is not important to know. So we don't use the by phrase here. So when we use the by phrase, we use the by phrase when it is important to know who performed an action. For example, the sweater was made by my own. In this sentence, the speaker wanted the listener to know that the speaker own who made the sweater. Another example is from this conversation. A. I like your sweater. B. Thanks. This sweater was made by my own. That sweater was made by my mother. In this example, the speaker wanted the focus attention to the subject, in this case the sweater, and by phrase is used to add important information. Next, the passive forms of present progressive and past progressive. So the passive forms of present progressive is, are, depending of the subject of the sentence, plus being plus past participle. Example for the active present progressive is the secretary is copying some letters, and when we change into the passive present progressive, it becomes some letters are being copied by the secretary. For the past progressive, the form is was or were, depending the subject, plus being plus past participle. Example, the active sentence is someone was building a new hospital. The passive is a new hospital was being built. And the last but not least, passive modal auxiliaries. So modal auxiliaries are often used in the passive sentence, and the form of the passive modal auxiliaries is modal plus be plus participle. Here you can see the table that contain a bunch of modal. So let's see the first sentence of the active modal auxiliaries. Bob will mail it. And the passive modal auxiliaries of that sentence is it will be mailed by Bob. And this applies to all the modal auxiliaries. Well, I guess that's all from me. I hope you understand, and good luck for your exercise. Thank you.
Hello guys, my name is Dery Patrick Matthew Kurniawan, and my number is 89, and for today I will give you some exercise, and the topic is passive sentence. So as usual, before we start, here's some quotes for you from Will Durant that said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellent then is not an act but a habit. So hopefully these quotes can make your day and improve your life more and more. So let's go to the exercise. So for the exercise 1 is active versus passive. What we have to do is to change the active verbs to the passive verbs. Okay, here we have 4 questions that, which as you can see in like number 1, we have the active verbs from the left that the sentence is the teacher helped us, and we have to change it to the passive verbs to at the left. So before I show you the answer, you can pause the video and you can answer it by your own. So let's go. Here's the answer for the exercise 1. For number 1 is the teacher helped us, and the answer is the passive is we are helped by the teacher. So for the basic of the active versus passive is actually pretty simple. It's like the active this is a sentence or a condition that you directly said it, like the teacher helped us, or the other example is eat your food or have a seat or stuff like you directly said. But for the passive is you continuing the other's sentence, like if your friend is already said that teacher help us, and you continue to say to the others what your friend just said, so you have to change it to passive, like we are helped by the teacher, something like that. So for number 2, the answer is I was helped by the teacher. I think you already know what is that answer, right? Actually you will correct that number. So number 3 is the teacher has helped Joe, and the answer is Joe has been helped by the teacher. So it's might be a bit confusing, but it's okay, because remember the basic from the active versus passive is active is stuff that you directly said, even though you said about the past, but you still directly said like the teacher has helped Joe, and you continuing that sentence, so it become the Joe has been helped by the teacher. It does have a same meaning. These two sentences have the same meaning, but just have a different condition. So if you get confused for the conversion of the active and passive word, you can just remember the basic, that active is directly and the passive is continuing that word, gitu. Something like that. So for number 4 is the teacher will help me. This is the future sentence, and passive is I will be helped by the teacher. So for the next exercise is form of the passive. What we have to do is to change the sentence from active to passive. Here we have phone number as usual. You can pause the video and answer it by your own, which is I tell you something before I should answer. The form of the passive is be plus past participle. Yeah, so here's the answers. For number 1, the company employs many people. So the form of the passive is many people are employed. That B is the are, and the past participle is employed. That's the form of the passive. For number 2, the company has hired Sue. Sue has been hired. Has been hired by that company. So for the B, it depends by the word what it given. For example, is if it give like that company employs many people, you have to use the B is are, and for this number 2, it have has B from the from the sentence, and you just have to change it to the past, so it became a has been. For number 3, the secretary is going to fax the letters. The answer is the letters are going to be faxed by the secretary. Yeah, I think there's no problem there for me, but hopefully you understand too and get what the mean of that. So for number 4, the answer is a college student bought my old car, and the answer is my old car was bought by a college student. Yeah. Also, that's it for me. The exercise for the passive sentence. Hopefully you can understand what the passive sentence more and more, and thanks for watching. The other exercise is going to be my friend, so see ya.
Okay, first thing first, let me introduce myself. My name is Revi Valen Sumendap, and my name is 200-856-1099. Okay, so after my friend do some exercise about the passive, right now we're gonna do some more exercise about the passive, so we can understand the passive better. Let's go. Okay, so right now we're gonna do 3 types of exercise. So let's go to the exercise number 1. Okay, so in exercise number 1, we're gonna change the sentence from active to passive and include the by phrase only if necessary. So these are the active sentence. Number 1 is Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. The passive sentence is the telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell. So in here we include the by phrase because it's necessary, because we need to know who exactly do this action. Okay, number 2 is someone published the Orion auspicious in 1859. The passive sentence is the Orion auspicious was published in 1859. And here we don't add the by phrase because it's not necessary, because one who did this is only wrote someone. Number 3 is Charles Darwin wrote The Origin of Species. The passive sentence is The Origin of Species was wrote by Charles Darwin. And here again we use the by phrase because it's necessary. We need to know who exactly do this action. Is Charles Darwin. Okay, so we go to the exercise number 2. Okay, so in this exercise we're gonna change the sentence with the correct passive form. So these are the sentence. Number 1 is Mr. Rice is teaching our class today. The passive form is our class is being taught by Mr. Rice today. In here we change the verb from teaching to taught to verb 3. Number 2 is someone is building a new house in Hasanuddin Street. The passive form is a new house is getting built on Hasanuddin Street. So in here we change the verb from building to build, verb number 3. Number 3 is we couldn't use our classroom yesterday because someone was painting it. The passive form is we couldn't use our classroom yesterday because it was getting painted. So the verb in here is painting, so we change it to painted. Change it to verb number 3. Okay, so that's all for exercise number 2. We go to the exercise number 3. Okay, so in the exercise number 3, we're gonna complete the sentence by changing the active modals to passive modals. Okay, so these are the sentence. Number 1 is people should plant tomatoes in the spring. So in this number 1, the active modal is should plant. We change it to should be planted. So the correct sentence is tomatoes should be planted in the spring. Okay, number 2, people can reach me at 555-3815. In here the modals is can reach, so we change it to can be reached. I can be reached at 555-3815. Number 3 is You must keep medicine out of reach of children. So in number 3, the modal is must keep, so we change it to must be kept. Medicine must be kept out of reach of children. So that's all for exercise number 3, how we change active modal to passive modal. Okay, so that's all the exercise by me. The next one is gonna be the conclusion, then gonna be represented by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Syarif Hidayatullah with name 014. From the explanation of my friend earlier, we can draw the conclusion that active voice is a verb form where the subject of the sentence performs an action which is stated by the verb. Thus, in active voice, the subject acts as the doer of the action. Passive voice is a form of sentence in which the subject takes action, not takes action. Unlike an active voice that focuses on the party carrying out the action, this form focuses more on the party or object that receives the result of an action, the passive of the action. The difference of the active and passive sentence: active voice is a sentence where the subject does the job. Conversely, passive voice is a sentence where the subject is subject to work by the object of the sentence. Next. Okay, this is the form of an example of the active voice: subject plus verb plus object. This is the example: mother cooks Chinese food delicious. Next, this is form of passive voice: subject plus to be plus past participle or verb 3. And this is the example: he is beaten by all his past competitor. So many English video listen from our group about the passive voice, and thank you.